What's up, guys? Ace here, bring guys a review of Fire Force Season 2, Episode 7, Road to the Oasis. And this was a pretty sweet episode, especially at the end. I think we got something good there. It was pretty cool. Especially seeing, like, Takaru, I think that's his name, the Juggernaut that I was talking about last preview discussion, and his mom. That was kind of interesting, but let's get into it. So, initial starts of the episode, we see everyone get off the ship, and Takaru meets his mother, and we don't go too much over his father. It's a very glimpse view of his father, but we see his mother, and I thought that was kind of interesting, seeing how, like, she definitely had the sort of southern, like, tang to her voice. I don't know what to call it, southern accent. Although this wasn't very apparent audibly, it was more apparent, I guess, visually for the subtitling. It was interesting. And I say that because I'm not quite sure how that sort of, I guess, thing is brought or spoken in like a different language. Because for me, it seemed kind of just like general different language, right? But I guess there is, if you look more into something like that, there is more like ways of doing slang in other languages too. So that was definitely kind of interesting to see. It sounded very southern, very much southern, which I guess you'd expect from a farmer. But at the same time, it's like, weren't they relatively in the same like latitude, like the peninsula compared to Tokyo, the Tokyo Empire? That was kind of interesting to see. Maybe it's just because the fact that, I don't know, it's a family line sort of thing where like the farmers pass on generation to generation. Because Takaru just doesn't have this accent, so it's kind of weird. It's just a little bit, but that's whatever. Anyways, we see the crew and everyone go and head out to the volcanic sort of, well, I guess the place of activity, which is past the wasteland, past everything else, and somewhere deep within the peninsula, somewhere northwest. And on our way there, I kid you not, we find an onyx and a sand shrew. Yeah, I guess it is a sand shrew, which is cool. It was the topic I discussed, I believe, in the previous discussion, but basically it was like this big black rock, and it just attacked. Like I said, it wasn't attacking them. It was attacking the sand shrew, basically, the little mole thing. And I think it was brought up that essentially their beings were sort of more or less brought by the existence of the Edulburst that was, I guess, perhaps present within the depths of this wasteland. So that was interesting. It was also super interesting seeing how the mole was explaining the territory, that there are a lot of these sort of huge beasts there. And that's interesting because we didn't see any combat with the beasts. They were more just trying to, I guess, move the beasts from the actual car, which was interesting because, like, I'm not sure if they were actually to fight the beast, they could, because it seemed to be more like a sentient rock. And fighting a sentient rock, how would you guys think that would work? Like, fire against a rock. Like, I played the rock paper scissors shoot to know that, like, rock gets destroyed by paper somehow. But, like, I don't see anywhere how rock's gonna get destroyed by fire, right? Like, am I wrong? Like, maybe it's just like a black shell, like a centipede sort of thing. But it seemed for the most part, like, it didn't have any eyes. It was very much an earthworm, like you'd expect. Just a huge earthworm. It was huge, too. Like, the dude, Shogun, I think his name is, Ogun, he was literally just, like, skating up this thing. And also, I had to say, because it's our first time talking about Ogun, but he's, like, pretty cool. Like, his attacks he's pretty cool. He's like a skater dude. That's cool. He's pretty neat. And they, like, when they were fighting this rock on their way to this mysterious Edulburst destination, fighting this thing, they meet this mole, and the mole was running away from, I guess, Takaru's farm. And I was like, okay, it was whatever. But the more interesting part was the mole actually had a flame on its tail. That was kind of interesting because I was like, wait, why does the mole have a flame on its tail? And also, is it an Edulburst? Like that could be an Edulburst flame, right? Could I be wrong there? Like, that has to be. Especially because they said they constantly went to the Oasis, and the Oasis is essentially where they're going. That's their destination. That's where the activity of the Edulburst is, and so that's pretty interesting to see. I would like to know a little more about this mole's, I guess, story and life story. I guess how they're born, where they were born. I'm guessing it's somewhere in this wasteland, before it came Wasteland. I don't know if it lived that long though before the cataclysm, or before / during the cataclysm, but probably after that the cataclysm. But that was the thing. Also, this mole talked, and they also made it apparent that not all creatures can talk, so that may lead to some interesting things in the future, where like they have these weird sentient other things. Like in later in the episode, they showed some sort of hellhounds, right? And the hellhounds apparently, according to, I believe, the mole, the hellhounds have some sort of boss, and the boss might be sentient. I'm thinking the boss might be sentient. And that's cool. Like, imagine talking to a hellhound. I just have thoughts in my head, like, that'd be kind of interesting to see. Like, what would the boss hellhound look like? And because essentially they have to fight fire with fire, but like that's, I mean, obviously they've done that before in the show. That'll be interesting to see, especially with like the idea of a hellhound. It sounds very much more, I don't know, just like impossible. Just because I don't know the nature, like they were born in fire. While I guess people with I guess fire, like all the third and first, second generations are born in fire. They're not born in fires. They're born with fires. I don't know. It's weird. It sounds weird to me. Anyways, once we get to the Oasis, I was actually expecting bandits to be there, and more specifically the White Clad, but apparently none of the White Clad members were there. And that was interesting because the way that the mole had brought this idea of like their place being taken over was definitely like given the idea that the bandits / the White Clad / evangelist members would be there, and that wasn't the case. It seemed like thus far it was just occupied by hellhounds that just raided the area and took over, which is also weird because it's a place full of like vegetation and like there's just hellhounds everywhere. like they're on fire, just like every step they take is just burning through the grass, and like apparently the vegetation's still alive. Like, what is that? I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but like, I don't know. The way that they illustrated the hellhounds, I think it should have been more suggestive that like perhaps this area has seen worse, I guess better times, so to say. But that's whatever. That's whatever. And in the end, we actually just see them finishing up and getting to near the center of the Oasis, which is the place of the Adulaburs, perhaps. And that is the, I guess, Amaterasu look-alike structure, which holds the Adulaburs. And that's cool. Like, that doesn't matter too much at the moment, but like that's eventually where they want to go. And I'm guessing that's where the Hellhound boss is, who is also may or may not be sentient. But other than that, that's basically the episode. And I have to say, this episode's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty interesting to see like this new land and everything, especially seeing the way the characters acted on the trip. It was just very like so I guess back in high school, was it? We had like this high school trip where we would go to like Washington DC, and anyways, that'd be like your first trip out of like the state usually at that time in my location. And it was interesting because like you very much got that sense here where like, oh, my parents can't tell, especially with Tamaki. She was like, my parents are here, I can do anything. That's basically what she said, and that was hilarious. And they were all acting like that, especially Shinra. His face at times were just like absolutely ludicrous, like his facial expressions, and that was very much what we got here. And I thought that was kind of funny. The only one who was really serious was the dude with the mask. I forgot his name, but like everyone else was just very much jolly, crazy, livid. Just basically like a kid in a candy factory. It was kind of funny. I enjoyed it there. And that's basically it from what I could gather from this episode. I think what's kind of interesting, although I didn't go over it yet, that fact that during the day there weren't too many infernals, if any at all, but during the night we saw a whole field of infernals, and that was interesting because that reminded me of Zelda, where like you would go in the Hyrule Fields, and then at night there would be a whole bunch of zombies, but in the day it's just like all bright, daisies and all. But during the night, that's when things happen, and so that was interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen there. If there's gonna be like a huge fire to cleanse them. There's only Tamaki there, so there's not like a bunch of sisters there to help clear all the infernals. So I don't know what's gonna happen there. That seems kind of crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of infernals here in the desert. A lot of wandering infernals. It's kind of spooky. I'm actually curious if there are any like abnormal infernals, because of the amount of infernals in the desert. It's like just based on like probability. Doesn't there have to be like a huge, like a demon there somewhere, like an infernal demon? That's what I'm guessing. Anyways, that's basically the episode. Tell me what you guys think about the episode in the comments down below. Did you guys like the episode? What do you guys think about the episode? Other than that, peace out, guys. See you later, and have a nice freaking day.